We pop in. We'll go ahead and turn this to the comments real quick. There we go. What's up, everybody? You already know it's your boy Narcolepsy Boy 94, aka Malik. As promised, because most of y'all, a lot of y'all killing me on TikTok and just asking me consistently about Royal Rumble predictions or just talk something about it. And I've been pushing it off, to save it for moments, like this and everything. So it's finally here as requested. I promise y'all I was going to give y'all a prediction for the Rumble. We're going to talk everything Royal Rumble. If you guys have some questions you want to drop in the chat, drop your questions in the chat. Feel free to interact. And as well, feel free to leave your predictions for the show. If you were talking about a match, you want to give your 2 cents, always leave it in the comment section. I'll let my guests introduce themselves. Smithception, Justin, aka the Wrestling Classic. You guys can introduce yourselves, plug in your social medias to everybody. They can follow you, all that stuff. Smith, you can go first, and then Justin, you can go after Smith goes.
All right, well, I'm Smithception. Most people just call me Smith for short because it's easier. And I'm primarily active on TikTok, even though I do have some YouTube uploads and plan on some in the future. And on TikTok, I mainly talk about wrestling and some video game stuff and usually whatever comes to my mind. But people primarily know me as a wrestling TikToker.
My name is Justin. I'm the Wrestling Classic on Instagram and on YouTube, as well as TikTok. You can find me on Twitter at TWC Worldwide. I do my weekly podcast, The TWC Show. Also, a ton of interviews on the TWC Show feed and on my YouTube channel with guys like Brian Danielson, Malachi Black, FDR, Summer Rae, who's going to be in the Royal Rumble this year. Gary V, Joe Santiago, people outside of wrestling as well, so you guys can check me out there. And my condolences to the guy that commented that his grandma passed away. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble. Let's go.
Looking at some of these chats. All right. Like I said, guys, feel free to put your opinions in the chat. If you guys have questions, you can leave them in the chat too. I'll answer some questions throughout the time we're talking. So always feel free to interact. We'll just hop right into one of the big matches for the Royal Rumble. Let's talk about Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, which is a big money match that everybody's talking about, which is kind of really unpredictable too for a lot of people. Everything that's going on. So for people who know the backstory, Roman Reigns has been champion for over 500 days. He's been carrying the Universal Championship, but he's never beaten Seth Rollins in a title match. And we know the Usos are banned from ringside, so it will be a one-on-one match. But, some people are thinking that, how much longer can Roman really hold the championship? How many people can he beat on the roster that he hasn't already beaten? But then again, like I said, he's never beaten Seth, so does he lose another big championship match to Seth Rollins? What will that do for Roman Reigns' career? Justin, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this match right here, and what do you think's gonna happen?
So I'm a big fan of the fact that Roman's never beat Seth. I just love the story of that.
Yeah.
But the problem is I don't want to see Roman beat Seth. So looking at the entire picture of I do still think, and it's a little bit of a spoiler of a future prediction that we're gonna make in a couple minutes here, is I really do think at WrestleMania we're still gonna somehow end up with Brock versus Roman. It didn't happen on day one, and I feel like that's the money match. That being said, I don't want to see a title unification match, so someone needs to lose the title here at Royal Rumble. Now, as much as I would like to probably see Brock beat Lesnar, I think Seth is going to beat Roman. And I want to carry this Roman's never been able to beat Seth thing to a further date when they can come back to it again and it'll really matter. Maybe SummerSlam later this year or something. That way, this will also bring the title back to Raw. And Brock can go back to SmackDown after this with the other title or something. But anyways, that all being said, I just think it needs to be Seth Rollins. Roman's been champion for over 500 days. He's walked into a WrestleMania and left a WrestleMania with that belt already. With the Usos not being able to help Roman and, Seth still having friends like Kevin Owens or Paul Heyman and Brock can cause some controversy. There is a way that Roman could potentially lose here. And a lot of Roman's times retaining the belt was because he had the Usos helping out. So I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and say I'm down for Seth Rollins to beat Roman Reigns here. Whether it's with some cheating or some help or some sort of confrontation, I believe that Roman finally loses the belt here. And to no one better than his old buddy and brother in arms, Seth Rollins. And we go towards WrestleMania where Roman's pissed. And now he wants Brock.
What about you, Smith? What are you thinking?
It's not that I'm not down to see Seth dethrone Roman after all this time. It's just that the logical part of my brain is telling me that there's no way in hell that's happening. I mean, we've seen how Roman's been booked all of this time. I mean, some have been comparing him to, like, they'll say he's a modern day Hogan, a modern day San Martino in terms of like how long he's holding this title. And while that's a little bit of an exaggeration, I do see like where people are going with that and why they would say that. And I think it's gotten to the point where, like Brock, when he's a world champion, when you have somebody who's that caliber of a star, you really don't see them losing title matches like that unless it's on a big stage like WrestleMania. So as much as I don't have a problem at all with Seth winning the Universal title, and as much as I, really don't want a unification match because it'll be yet another Brock and Roman in the main event, which would make it the third time.
Yeah.
The logical part of my brain, again, is telling me that's exactly what WWE would do. So that's exactly what I'm expecting.
It's tough, man. WrestleMania's coming up. I mean, I could see Seth winning and then Roman winning the Royal Rumble and then facing Brock at WrestleMania to become champion again, the WWE champion. But it's the whole story of that he's never beaten Seth. That's where I'm like, I don't really know if the company's really going to have him lose to Seth again in another title match. Because I'm thinking if he loses to Seth, okay, he wins the Rumble, he could easily just face Seth again. But now he's going to go after Brock. So basically just drops that entire story right there of he can't beat Seth. So, and then I don't really think they'll extend it because they're both on different brands unless they end the brand split, which could possibly be if they unify the titles. I could see a brand split ending because I don't see both champions being on both brands, which could be wrong, but I don't know. I honestly don't see Roman losing to Seth. I just don't see them losing another title match to Seth.
I think it's going to be with shenanigans that might involve Heyman, that might involve Brock,
I mean, yeah, I can see it.
Maybe, but I just feel like that's I don't see Seth getting some clean win over Roman. I see there being some shenanigans and Seth somehow sneaking away with that title.
I mean, he does always have the Usos with him, and even Seth made the point to say that the Usos always do his dirty work.
And if they're not there, and also
there's also been
Kevin Owens now that Kevin Owens could help Seth in return for a title match in Saudi Arabia at the next pay-per-view or something. Mm-hmm. Hey, I helped you. I know we're buddies, but now I want that belt that you have. And then then Bobby Lashley gets back in the mix. Big E gets back in the mix. Two people I could predict may potentially win the Royal Rumble. But
I mean, there are also rumors too. A lot of people feel like I don't know if you guys are familiar with the new NXT, but the Usos' brother is in NXT, Solo Sikoa. They feel like that he is going to interfere and come out and do something to help Roman win because he's not in the bloodline yet. You know what I mean? A lot of people are expecting him to be in the bloodline, but he's not been involved in the group just because he's been separated from those guys.
Cool idea. Definitely a really cool idea. I think that's a stretch.
I think it's a stretch too. I feel like it'd be too early because he hasn't been on NXT that long. But it's
yeah.
I mean, maybe that's something they do, because the Usos can't help him, and it's not like Roman. I mean, I know Roman has had help throughout his matches, but he has beaten people by himself throughout his title match. He beat Cesaro by himself, beat John Cena by himself. You know what I mean? So it's not like he hasn't beaten people by himself, but. I mean, maybe there are some shenanigans. Maybe Kevin Owens does come out and, does some shenanigans, or Brock comes out. But the only thing about the Brock thing is that Brock on SmackDown throughout the title for title thing, he's like, let's do title for title. You and me, we're both champions. Let's do it. So that kind of triggered my brain. Okay, well, maybe they are going to kind of do this, or maybe they're kind of just teasing it. But either way, I mean, I'm with Just. Either way, I don't see the Roman and Brock storyline done. They're definitely going to have a match at WrestleMania somehow. And I could see Seth beating Roman, and then Roman win the Rumble, and then he go on to face Brock at WrestleMania for the title. But I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like it would be more interesting if both guys retain the titles, and then the Rumble happen later, because that would make it more interesting. Because I think that makes the Rumble kind of more unpredictable. Right?
And I mean, the title can still change hands within the next couple of months. There's 2 more pay-per-views before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Also, isn't one of them a Saudi Arabia show?
That's what I mean. So there's a Saudi one. There's usually I think last year there was 3 before WrestleMania, but I think there's 2 more shows. There's a Saudi event and another pay-per-view they're probably going to do. So there's still chances for the titles to change hands after this weekend, but I personally just don't want to see the title versus title WrestleMania. I think that takes an opportunity away from other people that are technically on Raw at this point, because it's going to take an opportunity from Bobby Lashley and Big E and Seth and Kevin Owens to be in this important title match because they want to put it for Brock and Roman. And I also don't want to see the brand split ending, because I also think that ruins opportunities for a lot of people. I know a lot of people are just end it. No, trust me. There's people that are being featured right now that would not be being featured if there wasn't a brand split, because there's going to be only so many top spots. So they could do the whole Becky, Charlotte, Ronda thing where someone wins both belts, but eventually they go back to their respective brands. But I'd rather not.
So I mean, I feel like a lot of things could happen in this match. Like, so what if this is the opening match? Like, what if this opens the show? Like, this could be the opening match. Because I've heard Roman Reigns say on podcasts before that he's in a position where he said he's either the opening match or the closing match. And I don't really think that this match will be the main event because the Rumble usually kind of is the main event. You know what I mean? So if this is the opening match, maybe that's a sign that Roman could lose. That way he has time to get ready for the Royal Rumble, which is very possible. So I would go ahead.
I was to say, yeah, the way they typically structure the card is like now that there's 2 Rumble matches, like they always have one of them last, and it's usually always the men's one. And so like the women's Rumble is always like either second or third on the card. So it wouldn't surprise me if they put the Universal title match on first.
I do agree with Nikki in the comments section. This does feel like one of the most unpredictable Royal Rumble shows in a while.
Yeah, I mean, this is very, very.
Last year, I had no idea who was going to win the men's, and then Edge returned the week of, and I was like, "Oh, Edge is winning the men's." But like this year, like I still have no idea.
Last year I kind of had ideas. I picked Edge to win for a lot of things, but this year it's really up in the air. So I think for me, I think a lot of, and I think you guys may feel the same way. I feel like after we see this match, we may have a better idea of the men's Royal Rumble. You know what I mean? Like if Seth wins, I would bet a lot that Roman is probably going to win that Rumble. But if Roman does win, then I'm like, oh, that may be like, that could, a lot of things could happen.
One other thing, sorry. Okay, I was going to say, one other thing, if that does happen, if Roman walks in the Universal Champ, loses to Seth, and then puts himself in the Rumble, that'll be like a WWE first, because there's been people that have challenged for the world title, lost, been in the Rumble match, but there's never been somebody who walked in the champ, lost it, and then tried to challenge for it again by being in the Rumble match. So I don't know if they would do that, and I would kind of prefer if they didn't do that, because in a way that kind of feels like cheating.
I also am maybe I'm in the minority here, but I don't think Roman Reigns is the type of person that needs a reason to get an opportunity at the title. I feel like if he lost the belt, it's very easy for them to be, well, like, he can come out and be like, I got screwed out of that title. I got cheated.
Well, I could see him taking somebody, like, you remember how sometimes people come out and he just, like, beats somebody up and takes their spot, like, he just...
Yeah, I just don't, like, I would still keep the Rumble winner be someone that, like, I just don't think Roman needs it. I just don't.
No, he definitely doesn't.
I don't think Brock needs it either. I don't think either. If a Lashley lost to Brock and then entered the Rumble and won it, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I don't see that. I don't think Brock and Roman. This company can't just evolve around Brock and Roman for the next year.
Yeah, watch it. They probably will.
Oh, they definitely will, though. I mean, as long as Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns are going to be around, they're going to rely on these guys as far as long as they're there. But I feel like a lot of things could happen with this match. I could see either guy winning. Like, I could see Seth winning, but it's just the fact for me, it's like if he loses another, I just don't know if he's going to lose another title match to Seth Rollins, you know what I mean? Because he hasn't won one yet. So it's like, do they want to give Roman that win, to continue to add on to his legacy further, you know what I mean? Because they're pushing Roman to the moon. Like, they're pushing.
The fact that they celebrated that he's over 500 days makes me feel like they know we're coming near the end,
So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I would still see Roman winning and going into WrestleMania as champion, but I could also see him losing and, like I said, going into the Rumble and winning the Rumble. That way,
what's the next match?
He can face Brock at Mania. So I'm interested to see what happens. Look at some of the comments. Some people see.
Someone said we don't know that WWE's all planned. Like, which other?
We definitely don't. We definitely don't.
I have no idea. I just found out, guys. I'm devastated.
Oh, he said these people don't know WWE's all playing. Oh man.
Oh wow. No way! Oh my god!
You crushed my dreams, guys. You crushed my dreams, man. Don't crush my dreams.
I thought it was real. I just bet so much money on this show.
The product will never be the same.
Oh no!
All right, let's talk about the men's Rumble match. So we talked about Rollins versus Roman. So let's talk about.
We touched on this a lot already, which is great.
Yeah, so we can talk about Forbidden Doors and everything we got winning. So I got 3 people in mind that I could see winning.
Okay,
for the first time, like I don't really have a clear cut winner where like I know this guy's winning. Like because I really don't know. Like last year. I picked Edge. The year before, I said Drew McIntyre, so I've been right for the last couple of years, but like this is the first year in a while for me. Like I don't really have like a clear cut favorite where it's like, this guy's gonna win. Like I really don't know. So one of the guys I think could win is AJ Styles, which I would love to see happen. I would love to see AJ Styles get the dub. Because I've heard rumors that he could get a big push coming soon because now he's not with Omos anymore and everything. So like, I could see that happening. And the other two are Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. I could see Roman winning if he loses to Seth, only if he loses to Seth. And I could see Brock winning because this is my logic. I could still see Brock winning even if he's the champion because number one, he already still has beef with Roman and he threw out the title for title thing. So that was kind of already planted there. And like Smith said, I still wouldn't put it past WWE to make that match happen at WrestleMania because number one, they never had a 2 world title match happen at WrestleMania. It's never been world champ versus world champ at WrestleMania. It's never been done before. It's the first time ever thing, which Vince loves, first time ever that we know. It's something never done before. Mm-hmm. And I could see Brock inserting himself into the match where he wasn't supposed to be in the match, win the Rumble. And now Roman has no choice but to face Brock at WrestleMania because now he won the Rumble. So now you got to fight him at WrestleMania. And Roman kind of, I don't want to say ducking Brock, but like he kind of got the idea. But Roman was like, that's not my idea. That's not, I don't need this. You know what I mean? Like, so that's something that I could see happening just for the fact like Brock's the champion now, and he won the Rumble. Now Roman's the champion. Now he got title for title because the Rumble's kind of in the way of that. So that's something that I could see happening. I don't know if it will, but I wouldn't put it like it wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't put it past that idea just because of WWE's booking and how they do things. Because like I still, as like Smith said, I still see Roman and Brock happening at WrestleMania one way or the other, whether it's for one championship or it's for 2 championships. I just feel like they're set on that happening. And the fact that it didn't happen at day one, I just feel like now it's set to happen at WrestleMania. So I think AJ could be a wild card if both guys are still the champion. I could possibly see AJ winning, which I would love that to happen. But I could also see Roman and Brock winning. So those are my 3 options right there: Roman, Brock, or AJ Styles.
Smith, you go next.
Okay. I also have 3 predictions, just like Malik does, except unlike Malik, they're all different than what he said. So 2 of them I think are like obvious, and one of them would require a little bit of an explanation. The 2 obvious ones for me are Kevin Owens and Big E. Kevin Owens just re-signed. Maybe there was a little bit of incentive there, on top of it being also best for his family. And I love Kevin Owens, so I would be happy to see that. Second, Big E, there'd be a great story to tell there, losing the WWE Championship and, wanting to fight to be able to get Brock one-on-one, to, get the title back, because why wouldn't you want the title back if you lost it in a multi-man match, even if you were the one that got pinned? And the third one that I know is going to require a little bit of an explanation, Austin Theory. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that's a little bit of a wild card, or a big wild card, but hear me out. He is a Vince guy, if there ever was one. He's tall. He's muscular. He seems to be able to work the style that Vince wants to work. I mean, why else would he have gotten called up to the main roster so early, meanwhile not having that significant of an NXT career? And how many other people have you seen get one-on-one segments with the boss himself to the level of Austin Theory has? It really hasn't happened since probably the time of Punk, and before that probably the time of Austin, when Mr. McMahon was the biggest heel in the business. So I just feel like all signs point to Austin Theory's future being really bright.
I have heard that, Austin Theory could be in the Final Four. He may be every year somebody in the Rumble has the most time. He may be the one who has the most time in the Rumble to shine and showcase what he can do. So
like an Iron Man?
Yeah, the Iron Man of the Rumble. So I mean,
he could be in the Final Four. Someone said Austin Theory could be in the Final Four. I mean, I could see that. He was in the Final 2 with Seth.
I can see him being in the Final 4. I don't know about Big E though. I think they're done with Big E. Yeah, I really do. I feel like after that loss, I feel like for Big E, if they were really high on him or going to push him, I feel like he would have won that Fatal 5-Way match because that would have helped his career.
I think so. You got to think about this, bro. I think Big E was going to win that when it was a Fatal 4-Way. It just Brock and Roman couldn't happen, so they inserted Brock in there. I agree with you. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I thought the entire Big E run kind of fell flat. It did. I think the way they had him cash in fell flat because they announced it. If Big E teased that he's going to do it, cool. That could have just been a tease. But once WWE's like, no, Big E's coming to cash in tonight for a ratings grab, I'm like, you killed the moment. Now we just know it's happening. Yeah. He had a couple of good matches with Drew and stuff, but it was they're trying to be friendly with each other and have friendly competition, so you couldn't really sink your teeth into it. And finally, it would look like Big E was going to have this moment where he was going to beat Seth, Owens, and Lashley, which would have been huge. they inserted Brock and they had him lose. It made Big E look really strong in that match, but they had him lose.
That can only predict what would have happened if Roman never got COVID that
if
day.
Roman never got sick. So the rumor is, no one can really say for sure, that the plan was for Big E to go over. That being said, that Big E is one of my predictions. I have 3 too, but Big E was one of them because I feel like this is the final shot of trying to make it feel important. And my point about it not being Brock or Roman having to win the Rumble is that I don't even think, to be honest, like WrestleMania is 2 nights again. I do think whatever Roman is doing, or Brock, which I think is going to be against each other, they're going to main event night too. And I still think it's because WWE likes to, make themselves look good, PR, public relations, how things look. I think there's going to be a women's match main eventing night 1 again, without a doubt. So whoever wins the Rumble and goes for that second title, I don't even think they're going to main event the first night, but they'll still be on the card just like Lashley and Bobby were. So, like, that being said, I could see Big E wrestle with Seth Rollins in one of the opening matches of Somewhere on night 1, and it's okay. I can see Lashley maybe losing to Brock and entering the Rumble and winning. That's my other choice. And facing maybe Seth Rollins on night 1, somewhere on the card that's not the main event, and that's also okay. Those are the 2 people I think we're going to win mainly. Though someone else, I don't really think AJ Styles. And the reason why I don't think AJ Styles is that as much as it could be AJ Styles, like he just doesn't have that momentum. There's nothing that says we're going to put the rocket strap on AJ Styles right now. I don't know why it doesn't feel that way, but it just doesn't. It does not feel like it could be AJ Styles. I think the only other one that so Lashley, Big E, and then maybe what you were saying earlier about if Roman loses, he could win, or if Brock loses, he could win. But like that's basically. But otherwise, I don't even think neither one of those guys need it because then I feel like you're just making everything about Brock and Roman, and nothing else matters. Part of the reason that Big E's reign fell flat was it was like at least 2-3 times where Roman came to Raw was the one standing tall at the end of the show. They made it more about Roman than it was ever about Big E, which made Big E look kind of weak.
But that's the thing. That's all WWE really cares about, though. Like they only care about Roman and Brock, and that's something I could see them doing just because that's who they're really focusing on. Like they're focused on Roman a lot, which we know, and they're focused on Brock, obviously.
This is the opportunity to focus on someone else because Roman and Brock are still gonna have the spotlight on them, regardless of the fact. At this point,
yeah,
so that's Kevin Owens is another great option because that was the other third person. Because Kevin Owens is a great option because they're already low key building this friendship between Kevin Owens and Seth. That could tear down by the time we get to WrestleMania. And we could have Kevin Owens versus Seth if Seth wins the belt. The reason why Seth winning the belt makes so much sense is because it brings the title back to Raw, and you can continue putting a spotlight on guys like Lashley, Big E, and Owens through Seth Rollins, which you can't do if it's just about Roman and Brock. Yeah, then what do all those guys do if it's just about Roman and Brock?
Mm-hmm. They're just there. I mean, they're just there involved. That's
poor business decisions.
Right. The only person they've really cared about in the last year is Roman. Like everybody else has been there. Like nobody else is on his level right now when it comes to the company. Not even close to, not star power, not believability.
No, and I get that, but there's a reason why, because that's all they're focused on. You're going into WrestleMania. Yeah. You got to sell 2 nights, not 1. And we know whatever Roman and Brock are doing is going to be night 2. So how do you sell night 1?
That's when they bring back a bunch of legends. That's when all the legends come back for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also
speaking of legends, what surprises do you guys think we're going to get on this one?
I think so. As far as maybe some surprises for the men's, I definitely think Forbidden Door wise, I think Moose is going to be in the Royal Rumble, the Impact World Champion. I see him popping up in the Rumble. He's my Forbidden Door pick. I don't know I don't really know anybody from like John Moxley, the guys from AEW. I just don't think the WWE AEW.
Yeah, I don't think the door's open to AEW.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I mean, I'd be shocked if like something like that happened.
The only person from AEW that I think I could see making an appearance in the Royal Rumble, and obviously, and I've said this a lot on my show and other places as well, like the only people I actually ever see making an appearance in WWE from AEW is anyone that's already been through the system. The reason why they're bringing on Mickie James or they reach out to the Iconics is because they've been through that system. They know how the WWE operates. Yeah. It won't be like we have to bring him here and teach them. Like Moose is a good one. I want to see Moose too, and I think Moose is professional enough to like catch a grasp of what's there. But if someone's gonna come from AEW, it would be a Moxie, it would be a Bryan, it would be someone that's been through there. But the only one I actually would potentially see show up is Chris Jericho. The only one.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of like big Forbidden Door speculation because it all just seems like a bunch of like things that'll never actually pan out. But like from a practical sense, I had like two in my mind. One of them being Chris Jericho for that reason. He's been through the system. Even though he's an active AEW star and has nothing to do with the WWE, he was allowed on the Broken Skull sessions.
Exactly.
And so that's why I think that would make a lot of sense. And I could see Jericho being fine with doing that.
Minus Jericho and Brian are the only two I could see
and
do it.
Yeah. And my other one is Jeff Jarrett, which I know is boring, and I know they already did it like 3 years ago now, when he was number 2 with Elias, but like he's the one that was actually in a segment with Nakamura and Boogs on SmackDown, and he's the one that confirmed like they reached out to him for help and he obliged. So I just feel like that makes sense from a practical standpoint.
And who else? And Jeff Jarrett for sure, but like who else on the Impact roster could potentially do? Because there's men that were like those are good brothers that could just.
I mean, maybe like Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder.
Matt Cardona, who's been super hot right now, he could go back in as Zack Ryder.
I've heard rumors too about Chris Masters, who's in NWA right now. I've heard Chris Masters.
And there's others that we might not even expect. Last year, Carlito came on. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Yeah. I mean, I could see some like maybe like Chris Masters, Matt Cardona, some people like that. I would be interested to see, some guys like that. Maybe a big return, maybe like,
like a guy like Eric Rowan just randomly showing up. I don't know if they'll get a pop.
Imagine if Brian Myers makes a comeback for one time again to be Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, like hypothetically, if Jericho comes back, it's break the walls down, right? It's not Judas, right?
Of course.
I've heard that supposedly that Mickie James supposed to be coming out to Hardcore Country, so
she wants to. Well, I don't know, but she wants to, which would be cool.
I think she will.
I mean, she's coming as the Impact Women's Champion, though, so like let her represent.
Mm-hmm.
I think she will. I think she will. I've heard some stuff about Del Rio too. I've seen some in the chat. I've heard some stuff about Del Rio popping up.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
I don't think anybody wants to see that too. I think another one could be Goldberg too. I could see Goldberg showing up.
Goldberg for sure. Get him back in the mix before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I could see Goldberg showing up just because.
I'm big on Moose though. I like your Moose prediction. That was a good one.
Yeah,
Moose is my pick for sure. I think he number one. He has some people may not know, for the people who don't know, but Moose actually is friends with a lot of people in WWE. He has a lot of good friends in the WWE system. WWE actually wanted him before he re-signed with Impact too. So I definitely see.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just say honestly, if Tony let him though, like I would majorly pop.
Yeah, I think it's something that I think from what I've heard, like I said, the WWE wanted him, and it wasn't even from what I heard, it wasn't Triple like Vince is like the one who because this guy has a good look, he's big, he's tall and everything, got the football background, so I could see Moose popping up. I think that would be a shocker, because somebody who's never been in the WWE system, or somebody who's WWE system, I think Chris Jericho would be the one, just because he doesn't have that toxic relationship with WWE. He has a good relationship with Vince.
And that's what I feel about Brian too, though, because Brian doesn't really have a toxic relationship. He's been saying nothing but.
I mean, the Bellows are in the Rumble too, so I mean, like
his wife's there.
Yeah, so I can see
his father-in-law is still the director of talent relations.
Yeah, I could see Brian showing up too. Brian would be somebody that I could see showing, just because, he obviously talked about when he left WWE, he loved being there, and he never he didn't have the same experiences that guys like CM Punk and other people did, so his relationship is still good and still fine.
I just generally don't think we're gonna see like a Young Bucks or a Kenny Omega, like guys that would never.
Oh, definitely not.
Showing up there.
Oh, if that happened, that would be like some
And lastly,
the wrestling world would be so shook, people wouldn't even know what to think.
Yeah.
Lastly, though, like another person, and even Goldust, they could have Goldust come back if they really want to. But lastly,
about Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes. That's a good one too. But I was gonna say also, just because of the way things have been going and how they recently changed, I do see maybe like 2 or 3 NXT 2.0 guys up in this Rumble. Whether it's a Braun Breaker, whether it's a Tony D'Angelo, whether it's Carmelo Hayes.
I could definitely see a Braun Breaker cameo happening.
Or Carmelo Hayes. Like I see some of these guys.
Breaker is somebody that I definitely think will be in the Rumble as well as Walt, who's Gunther now. So him.
Yeah, Gunther could roll up with all the buzz he has right now,
or maybe somebody else too, like Grayson Waller. Excuse me, they've been high on him too, so I can see him.
That's a good one in the comment section.
After being in the Rumble,
Heath Slater. They could bring Heath Slater, but that'd be fun.
Heath Slater.
I mean, he's got kids. He needs this job.
I have Jinder,
Definitely think,
Drew returns, Drew's in there, Jinder's in there, and then Heath Slater comes in that 3-man band moment. In the
Another one too that I think possibly in there is Corey Graves. I know Corey Graves.
he making his return. Yeah, off the table.
He just got cleared to compete, so I think Corey Graves could pop up and do something in the Rumble.
Wouldn't be the first time they had commentators enter the Rumble.
Yeah. So I can see them doing something like that too. So, any final thoughts before we move on to the next match? Final thoughts?
I'm good.
So if you had one guy for sure in mind, but between the three, who was the one guy you say would be the favorite out of your three? That
Big E.
Big E.
Really? I don't see it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't see it. I mean, I
don't see it either, but I just feel like
if I had to pick,
it's gonna be underwhelming. I just mean like
the reason why I think it's Big E also mostly is like I could see him because just because you win the Rumble doesn't mean you're gonna win the title. It just means you're gonna be in the spot. So I could very easily see like Big E getting the opportunity and failing again, like in the main event of night 1 or some shit.
And that, or not even I see Big E challenging for the belt in night 1, but not even in the main event. That's what I see. Like
for sure. I mean,
like third match on the card or something, like that's how I see it. And then I think
I don't know. I don't, man. I think they're done with Big E being in that spot. Honestly, I feel like it's kind of the Kobe situation. Like people wanted to see it happen, and now they're moving on from it. I don't think that.
Malik. Who's on Raw that matters on the top of the card?
Well, you got Seth Rollins, you got Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, you got all.
Do any of them feel right in that spot? To be honest,
I mean, Seth Rollins is the only one as of right now that feels.
That's
right
the problem. You need someone to win this Rumble to feel important. It can't.
It could be someone else. I think
people to feel important on Raw. The problem with Raw before the brand split happened was that nobody felt important over there. Drew and Bobby were fighting with the belt, and it still felt like it wasn't important. They had AJ Styles and Randy Orton mixed up in the tag team division, 2 major guys. So the guys that they're trying to build on the top, nobody felt important. They need to start making these guys feel important. It's been a year of Roman Reigns, and I love it. I'm not dissing it at all. But you need to start making other people feel important before it's too late.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I just don't think WWE logic is like that nowadays. They're not focused on making other people feel important. They're focused on one guy, and everybody else is just there in the surroundings. That's how it's been that's what we've been seeing for the last year.
It's a problem. So you need to put a feature on these Raw guys.
Because I feel like, like if Seth wins, then there's no way I don't see a Raw guy winning. It would definitely be Roman if I say that for sure.
Like Veer show up at the Royal Rumble, guys. Does he finally come?
Veer? Who knows?
Maybe
Seth was going to show up for months. You know what I mean? So who knows when this guy shows up? So maybe he does show up at the Rumble. Maybe they've been pushing off to the Rumble. But if I had to pick one Raw guy to win, the only person I can see is AJ Styles. Honestly, I can't see anybody else.
There's no reason. Considering what he just did on Monday Night Raw, just beating Austin Theory, that doesn't say Royal Rumble winner.
This is before, this is before he beat Austin Theory. Like AJ Styles is somebody that I could see putting them back.
100%, he can main event any moment, but they haven't made him feel that way for the last year, and him just winning the Rumble out of nowhere doesn't scream, "Oh man, I can't wait for AJ Styles to face who." Now you're saying that both the titles stay with Roman and Brock, then who does AJ Styles? I don't know.
I think that makes it more interesting though. That makes it kind of more because they said there's 2 pay-per-views in the right there before WrestleMania.
Yeah, no, true. You're not wrong, but the Lashley's kind of a face right now. He's not even a heel. They turned him face when he was Seth and Kevin Owens became the bad guys. It's really a confusing situation. That's why I think Lashley can also win and go face Seth, because technically Lashley's a baby face right now.
Yeah, I mean Lashley's kind of doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So Becky Lynch versus Doudrop. A lot of people weren't happy about this match. The only reason I don't have an issue with this match is because I would much rather prefer Liv Morgan and Bianca be in the Rumble. I think they feel better in that Rumble spot than in this match for me. But I mean Becky Lynch is going to win. I think we all kind of know that.
I don't even think we need to talk about this in that one.
Yeah, Becky Lynch is for sure.
It's a filler feud, which is cool. They do this around the Rumble all the time. They always have a feud that is just most of the time. Last year at this point, we knew everybody was on board. We're getting Sasha and Bianca at WrestleMania. So Sasha getting Carmella. Obviously Carmella's a little bit more established in a former champion, so it's a little bit more intriguing. But with Becky and Doudrop, it's going to be a good match. It might be a coming out party for Doudrop, but Becky's winning. She's going to move on.
Yeah, they will.
I think we're heading to Bianca and Becky at WrestleMania, hopefully, unless Ronda is coming back.
I feel like the problem with this match is like the problem with like a lot of world title matches that tend to happen around Rumble time is like it's really hard to believe that any challenger, regardless of who that challenger is actually going to go over because they're building, they're building to something bigger. Like Becky Lynch versus Doudrop is not going to be Doudrop's moment. That's just it's going to be a place like what Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar in 2019 was at the Rumble. It's going to be a place for Doudrop to shine, and then Becky's going to move on to whatever the bigger feud is that they have for her.
Or it's like back in the day where you get Dolph versus Punk and Dolph versus Edge. You never thought Dolph was actually going to win, but you got a really good matchup.
Yeah.
It's a Rumble title match just to like appease. Like obviously, don't get me wrong, we've seen title changes before. Like, we were talking off the air about the whole Rock and CM Punk thing. But
yeah, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule.
Most of the time, it just is what it is. But I will say this about the last match really quickly though is that I would have. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I was thinking about it yesterday when I was talking to some people in the Discord that we have that like this would have been also a good place because Doudrop and Becky kind of felt like it came out of nowhere and it might be like a one-off. They could have like given the like one more match in like a street fight or something here to accumulate their.
Yeah. All right. So what about the mixed tag team match, Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix? So there's a few people have been asking me this too on social media. I don't think Miz or Edge will be in the men's Rumble since they're having this match. They could. We've seen people wrestle more than one match in the Rumble and do it before, but I feel like this is probably just going to be their match and their little thing right here. But I got Edge and Beth Phoenix winning. I could still see maybe Miz and Edge's feud extending to like the Saudi Arabia show in February, Elimination Chamber thing. Because technically, if Edge and Beth Phoenix win, it would be, kind of maybe Miz wants another rematch or something within that matter. But I can also see this feud ending as well at the Royal Rumble. So I think we all kind of figured maybe the mixed tag match would happen to at some point. It was just kind of the writing on the wall once Maurice came back and everything was Miz and just kind of there. But I got Edge and Beth Phoenix winning here.
Edge and Beth.
I'm gonna go contrarian here, not because I want to, but just because I believe it. I don't think the feud's ending here either. I think Miz and Maurice are gonna come out on top somehow, and I think that the feud's gonna carry over to Mania. Now, whether that's Miz versus Edge in a singles match, whether it's Maurice and Beth, or whether it's another mixed tag match, I don't think we're over here, and I think that Miz and Maurice are going to win so that Edge and Beth, like the baby faces, have something to chase. And that's why I think it's going to keep going.
You're not wrong. That's true, too. I don't know if Maurice is sticking around after this.
Yeah, she might not.
And I think, like, if you let Edge, you could probably go back to just Miz versus Edge. And I just think this could be, like, a happy little moment for Edge and Beth. You got to look at Miz and Maurice's track record, right? Like, they lost to Cena and Nikki. They beat Brie and Brian. The 1-1 losing here, like it's not like they've never won together or lost together in the past.
Yeah,
this is new for Edge and Beth. This might be.
So if you see the feud, Smith, if you see the feud extending, what type of match you see happening at WrestleMania?
Like I said, I think the most likely options would either be another mixed tag match, maybe the stakes are raised, maybe it's a different stipulation, or a singles match between Miz and Edge, and because they're both veteran guys, they can just put on a match that we know they're capable of putting on. Just a great one.
I still think we're going to get a random slow, might be a small build, but like at WrestleMania, we're somehow going to end up with Edge versus AJ Styles.
Yeah, that's what I would love to see that too. That's
like I think this Edge and Miz thing will probably end after the Saudi show, and then
Miz I think that's a match that everybody has been talking about.
AJ Styles, it's kind of like when Randy doesn't have like a big match, he just comes out and he challenges someone. AJ Styles didn't have a huge match and randomly started challenging The Undertaker. Like there's always just like that last minute build to a match where you're like, oh okay. Yeah. We're getting Edge and AJ Styles.
I mean, even the best WrestleMania of all time, or what some people consider the best, Mania 17 had that exact same thing when they had Taker and Triple H not doing a damn thing. So they built up a feud real quick between them.
Yeah, and it ended up being one of my favorite matches on that show. So like, it's very
that was a great match.
Like they do it all the time. This Edge and Miz thing would have been happening now since what? November now. Like you're gonna take it all the way to March. I don't know.
Maybe they could. I mean, the one thing about Edge's storylines, though, since he's been back, all his storylines have been long-term booking, though. So, like,
I also think Edge's. I need Edge to turn heel like very soon. His whole run has felt flat to me. I apologize for any major Edge fans, and I realize it's because I think I like him as a bad guy. Everything's just been cheap. Like you decided 20 years later that you want to be a vampire again. It was cool the first time, now you keep doing it. You didn't do it for 20 years. Now all of a sudden you got vampire powers again. That's like the demon. That's like Finn stopping doing the demon thing for like 20 years and be like, I'm a demon again. Like you just don't become like. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, sure, 20 goddamn years, and he decided to be a vampire.
Well, that was a nostalgia pop and nothing
The
else. let's
first
be
time,
honest.
it was the first time, and then he brought it back again in this misfeud, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Who knows?
All
So you
right,
can tell me that Edge's storylines are logical and long, but some of them make no sense.
Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley, big rematch that everybody's been waiting to see for quite some time. What do you got here, Smith? What are you thinking about this match?
I'm thinking that it's WWE giving us what they want just in the shittiest form possible, because I don't think any Brock feud has ever been more organically demanded by the fans than Brock versus Bobby Lashley, because it's two hosses that I don't think they ever had a match before in their whole careers together. So it's something that we've been wanting. So it would seem like a dream match come true if it wasn't the first defense of Brock Lesnar's new WWE title run. Because Brock doesn't lose on his first defense, except for, exception to the rule, Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. But generally speaking, Brock doesn't lose on his first defense, and Brock, like Roman, is another one of those guys that if he does lose that title, it's happening at WrestleMania, because that's where the money's at. So as much as I want to be excited for this match, the way they built it and knowing how they do shit like this, it just makes it harder to invest when you know the outcome, and more so than you normally would.
I don't have an issue with Brock winning. My only hope and concern is that this is one of those dream matches that falls into the category of being a dream match that we all wanted, but it was highly disappointing because of how it was booked. Like, we saw when Brock was going to fight Braun Strowman in No Mercy, and everybody was excited for that match. And then, the match was short and it was just lackluster. And there was no effort into it. You know what I mean? Like, that was a match. Same with the Samoa Joe match. Like, those were two matches that everybody was excited for. And we've always seen that Brock usually works better with the smaller guys like AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins. He puts better matches on with people like that. But I'm hoping that's not one of those cases. I hope this match gets time. If Brock wins, I don't have an issue with Brock winning. I just hope that they have a good, entertaining back and forth match that people can get invested into.
Yeah.
I want Bobby to get his stuff in and make it look like there's going to be times in the match where it looks like he's going to win. And then the same with Brock. I don't want it to be, where they go out there and, Brock beats him in one F5. You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous if that happens. So that's my only concern about that. But I got Brock Lesnar winning.
Definitely got Brock Lesnar winning. Definitely a dream match of mine. I thought this should have happened in 2018 when Lashley beat Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules, but then Roman just went and fought Brock at SummerSlam. It made no sense to me. Both have the MMA background, both legit badasses. I don't think people really talk about Bobby Lashley's MMA record because I think he's like nearly undefeated.
15-3.
15-3. Yeah, that's a hell of a fucking record.
His record's better than Brock's. Yeah, it's better than Brock's.
Yeah, and legitimate tough guy, and like Lashley's had a hell of a year this past year. We saw Brock give Lashley the nod of approval after the 5-way, like, oh, okay, you're that guy. Even though he keeps saying Bobby who, like he left that match, like, okay, I see you. You had me in the hurt lock. You almost had me. We needed to be like that. We needed to be where like Lashley almost had Brock. And if Brock was ever going to leave a match giving someone a nod of approval, this probably would be it.
And that's the thing that pisses me off about the WWE Championship being involved in this. Brock versus Bobby is money regardless of what else you put into it. Tell me it wouldn't be more exciting if the Brock-Bobby match was pushed off to Mania with no title involved so that you were like genuinely excited to see what was going to happen and what this outcome was going to be.
I was hoping that this match wasn't even going to happen at the Royal Rumble. I was hoping that Bobby was going to lose that number one contender match and he would win the Rumble and then face Brock at WrestleMania for the title, because then that would have been better for me, because then I could see Bobby winning. I'm like, oh, Bobby.
That too. That also would have been great.
If you ask me what I want and what I think's going to happen, what I want is Bobby. Like if I wanted something, it'd be Bobby beating Brock Lesnar. What I think is going to happen is that Lesnar's going to beat Bobby, just because like we're heading into WrestleMania. We think the whole Roman Brock thing, and out of the two, like playing, out of the two bad situations with either Roman or Brock losing the belt, I see Roman being less hurt by losing the belt after this long reign than Brock losing it this season. So like,
yeah,
it's tough, and to that point, like I said earlier, that's why Bobby was one of my choices for the Rumble, because I do see Bobby losing here, getting that nod of approval, entering like number 26 or 7 in the Rumble out of nowhere and just winning with it. Like it's possible.
No, I mean, I thought if he would have lost the number one contenders match, say if it was like Brock and Kevin Owens or something like that, you know what I mean? Like if Bobby had won the Rumble and then going on to WrestleMania, that could have been more unpredictable, you know what I mean? Because you could have seen Bobby winning at WrestleMania. Because like, maybe Bobby does take the belt from Brock at WrestleMania, because after WrestleMania, you don't really know what like Brock could be doing. Like Brock could be gone. You know what I'm saying? He could do whatever he wants. He's in that position. So the fact that
I'm gonna go really out of the way here, like, because I know they pay a lot of money in Saudi. You could literally still do Roman and Brock in Saudi,
yeah,
the belt, and then somehow still end up at WrestleMania again, where it's Bobby versus Brock and Seth versus Roman, and Roman finally beats Seth or something. I don't know.
I mean, that's possible too, because the next pay-per-view is the Elimination Chamber. That's in Saudi. So obviously, when they have chamber matches, usually like a number one contenders match, you know, like whoever wins the chamber goes on to face the other champion at WrestleMania. Whoever doesn't win the Royal Rumble and decides to face the opposite champion. I mean, so if somebody won the Rumble, say Seth wins, and then Roman wins the Rumble, and then we got Seth and Roman at WrestleMania. Maybe Bobby wins the chamber, and then he decides to face. He gets another rematch against Brock at WrestleMania, but this time a more dangerous or vicious version of Bobby Lashley. You know what I mean? Because one thing I was kind of hoping between this feud build-up, I was kind of hoping maybe like a brawl or something would happen between the two in the ring. Like we got like a big brawl or something that the fans more excited about it. But overall, like I said, my only thing is just I just hope this match is entertaining. I hope they go back and forth, give a good match. I hope Bobby gets his stuff in, Brock gets his stuff in. I don't want it to be like one of those scenarios where they have a good little stuff in for maybe like 2-3 minutes, and then it looks like Brock is losing, and all of a sudden he hits Bobby with an F5, and then it's over. You know what I mean? Like,
well, given the track record of Brock working with people his size, you can't put that entirely out of the picture.
Yeah,
but Brock's, I mean, as much as Lashley is kind of a bigger guy, he's not Braun Strowman. He's not Samoa Joe. He's pretty lean. He's not as big as he was in 2008. Like, he's cut down quite a bit. Like, he moved.
But I'll also say, though, it seems like the company is more higher on Bobby Lashley than they were Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe, too.
And I'm glad that they are, actually, because, like, even though he's not really good promo, I have always, like, genuinely been a fan of Bobby Lashley.
Same here. And I thought he should, like I said, I thought this should have happened in 2018. I was on board with it then. The way that Brock is like overly looking past Bobby, not taking him seriously. It just, the story tells that like if Brock's being this nonchalant about Bobby, Bobby's gonna come bring it to Brock.
I mean, maybe like I said, maybe that could be a shocker though. Like he's looking past Bobby, and maybe they could shock us and Bobby does win. You know what I mean? And then Brock wins the Rumble, and then goes to face Roman or something like that. Maybe that's something like that could happen, because like, it would be very unexpected. I feel like I think it would be shocking. Like I don't think it would be on like shocking level where it's like, oh my goodness, but it's like it would be something that people were like, oh, like we didn't see that coming. Like we all thought Brock was gonna win, but like
and
Bobby.
Also, we're not really looking into it. But why couldn't the Usos come and just screw over Brock just because there's a situation with Heyman and whatnot?
I mean, yeah, because I mean, like you said, the story with him and Roman, is still there. I mean, they haven't touched on it in a couple of weeks, but like it's Brock still has beef, or he still wants to fight Roman.
Heyman screwed Brock and then somehow went back to Roman, and that's the story.
Well, what if like storyline wise, say the Usos cost Brock the match, but it was like Paul Heyman behind the scenes the entire time, like trying to.
You gotta remember, like that last segment with Roman and Brock, it was Heyman playing on both sides. Like, don't talk to Roman like that. Don't talk to Brock like that.
Right.
It end up with Brock getting punched. What if low-key, like Heyman still has like this loyalty to Roman, and then somehow screws Brock out of this belt?
Because he could screw Brock at the Rumble, and Brock not know. You know what I mean? Like, he don't know what's going on and everything, and he's not the champion anymore. And that was maybe something behind the scenes. We're like, hey, if you want to come back to the bloodline, you want to show your loyalty to me, you got to make sure Brock is the champion. And now he does that. Now Roman secretly takes it back in behind the scenes type stuff. And then at WrestleMania, maybe they could have, Brock finds out they have a match at WrestleMania or something. I don't know. But I'm interested to see this match too. I just hope that it's a very good match. I just don't want it to be one of those matches that is just disappointing by the outcome of the ending. Like, Bobby should not lose to 1 F5. He should lose to like 3. It needs to finish all Bobby Lashley. You know what I mean? Like, so let's talk about the women's Rumble match. A lot of things about this too. I think this could be the main event match too. From what I'm hearing, everything there's some big shockers or some surprise that could be coming in this match as well too. So I have, just like the men's, I have 3 people that I have in mind that I could see winning this match. I will say, for the people watching, I'm sorry, but one of them is not Liv Morgan, and I like Liv Morgan. I like Liv Morgan a lot, and if she won, I would be very happy that she won, because I think I really honestly think Liv Morgan has potential to be a superstar in the women's division for the company. I think she's gotten a lot better at promos. Her matches have gotten a lot better too, and she's over. Like people actually like this girl, and they want her to be used. You know what I mean? So, but I just don't think the company sees her in that position. I just really don't. I don't see them letting her win the Rumble. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it happening. One of them is Bianca Belair. And I know some people, every time I say that, some people are like, well, she already won the Rumble. It doesn't really matter. Like people have won more than one Rumble before. And it would be history in the making too, because number one, nobody has won back-to-back Rumbles since Stone Cold did in 97, 98. So it hasn't happened in years. And no woman has won back-to-back Rumbles. So she would become the first woman to win back-to-back Rumbles before. So it's never happened. So that would just add more onto her legacy right there. Another one, and this is the one that I think I would like to see the most, is Bayley coming back and winning. That's the one I'm hoping to see. I'm a big Bayley fan. I would love to see her versus Charlotte at WrestleMania or something like that. I was very disappointed. The only thing that disappoints me about Bayley's booking is that when she's the champion, they give her a good push. But then, 2020, she had a great run as women's champion. Then when she lost the title, she became irrelevant again to the roster. She didn't have a match last year in WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So it's like I want to see her back in that position because to me, she's highly underappreciated by a lot of people and by a lot of things. So Bayley's somebody that I would love to see come back and win. That's something that I could see happening, and that's what I want to see happen. But the last one I see happening that I could think happen is Ronda Rousey coming back and winning. There's been heavy rumors going around right now too that the company, well, they've already reported out that the company wants to bring her back. You know what I mean? So they're trying to get her to come back, and that's something that I could see happening. Her being number 30 and having her and Becky at WrestleMania, the match that everybody wants to see happen at WrestleMania 35, but they put Charlotte into it, so we got the triple threat.
Yeah.
And it's a match that I still want to see too. That's a match that I'd totally be down for. But Ronda is somebody that I could see if I feel like if they're gonna have that big surprise, like if this was the main event, this was the ending show, this was the last match, that's something that I could see happening just because Ronda Rousey, could be the close off the show. So I don't know for sure like what's gonna happen. It may not happen, but those are the three that I see as far as what I'm thinking could happen. If Bianca wins, and I think Bianca and Becky continue their feud because of what happened at SummerSlam, she gets her revenge over Becky. If Bayley wins, and I see her and Charlotte happening at WrestleMania, because for me, that match hasn't been overplayed a lot like it has with Becky and Charlotte, or like Sasha and Charlotte, or Sasha and Becky, they fought so many times in pay-per-views, but we haven't really seen Charlotte and Becky, Bayley and Charlotte fight as many times, so I'd be okay with that. And then Ronda would be the last one because her the thing with her and Becky that we never got to see. So that's what I see happening right there. So those are my three picks. I'll get into the forbidden doors here in a second, but I'll let
I really wanted Sasha to win, but she's hurt. We could get Sasha versus Charlotte at WrestleMania, and she's out for 4 to 8 weeks, which means she'll be back before WrestleMania, just won't be in the Rumble. Yeah. That being said, I do think whoever eliminates Charlotte Flair is going to be a big deal and might be her opponent at WrestleMania. I did see someone say that Trish could enter and help Lita eliminate Charlotte, which would be a cool little moment if that's the case. But man, I'd be so happy if Sasha would just limp her way down to the ring, toss Charlotte over the top rope, and then also get eliminated or something. Because Charlotte's going in as a champion. And similar to Brock in the Royal Rumble in 2020, it was Drew that eliminated him, and it kind of was the writing on the wall that we're getting to this point. Whoever eliminates Charlotte's going to. So I want Sasha and Charlotte just because the WrestleMania 32 was in the same stadium. It was a triple threat with Becky.
Plus, they owe her a WrestleMania win, too.
Yeah, they owe her a WrestleMania moment. Plus, it's back in that arena. Sasha came out there with the Eddie gear, did the frog splash for the first time, came out with Snoop Dogg. You felt like it was her moment, and Charlotte took it. And they've been working a lot together in the house shows. Everyone's saying they're having great matches. They've always had great chemistry. We haven't really had Sasha Charlotte since 2017. It's been a while. Give them this one more match at WrestleMania and that'll be the thing. That being said, Sasha was my original choice, but she's out. So I do think we could still get Sasha Charlotte at WrestleMania. Maybe not with this Rumble. Now, the two that you said, Bianca and Ronda, I agree with. I think this could be Bianca getting 2 in a row. The way that they showed a Bianca video package on the last pay-per-view, even though she wasn't on the card. They showed Bianca's history on Raw this week, even though she just, building up her momentum, beating Zelina. They're really showcasing, Bianca's coming back. Don't worry, guys. We're still going to have Bianca there. We're just taking a brief break from because she does need a redemption from SummerSlam. She never really got it. She got screwed the couple of rematches she got. Then they moved on to Liv Morgan and other people. Bianca's a big one. I do think Bianca Becky is something that could happen at WrestleMania when she gets a redemption. Now, in terms of Ronda, with the rumors coming in there, Ronda could come in there, win the Rumble, and face Becky at WrestleMania. But I almost feel why couldn't Ronda just Becky beats Doudrop, boom. I don't give a damn about my reputation. Ronda comes out after that match and stares down Becky, and we get Becky versus Ronda and Saudi, where like Saudi will probably pay Ronda's whole paycheck, so WWE doesn't have to worry about it. And that's a big match for Saudi, Becky Ronda too, at Elimination Chamber. Like that's something that can see happening. Then Ronda could either be a WrestleMania or not be a WrestleMania. I don't think it makes sense.
Or I mean, you could do that. You could do that same idea, and then like whoever just wins the Rumble faces Charlotte. Like you said, Charlotte's in the Rumble, so like whoever throws her out, that could just be her.
I just really want Sasha and Charlotte, so that's when like if that happens, like
yeah,
have Bianca win the Rumble, face Becky at WrestleMania, have Becky and Ronda at Saudi. Call it. Then the third only other person that I think could potentially win this out of my three, but I don't know how they'd play out. It would be like a complete wild card, but just because the rumors are swirling and stuff, is if Paige returns, it could be a cool moment.
Yeah, that would be a cool moment. Paige coming back. What about you, Smith?
So a lot of the things that I was going to say about Sasha and Bayley have basically already been said. Like, Sasha was one of my two picks, with Bayley before I found out she was hurt. So Bayley's kind of been my number one, not because I'm a big Bayley fan. It took me a little while before I became like a genuine fan of hers, but I do feel like, she will come back and this will be her time, because I do feel like within this next couple of years, we're going to see all of the 4 horsewomen get their Rumble wins, probably before anybody else. That's just my personal prediction. So I think Bayley's going to be the next one, but I don't think she's going to be the only surprise. I think there's also going to be another surprise. And I think this person that comes back is going to be the one, like some of you were saying, that throws Charlotte out and builds the match between her and Charlotte for Mania, and that's Asuka. Because I know she's been away for a while. I don't know if she was having surgery, if she just needed time off.
She had an injury. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like Asuka is also going to come back in this Rumble. I feel like maybe she'll be the one, because I feel like maybe this is fantasy booking. She can get her redemption from when Charlotte ended her undefeated streak at Mania 34. That would be a cool story to tell, and it would probably be one that wouldn't piss too many people off. The Charlotte haters. I'm not a Charlotte hater, but to a certain degree, I get it. And so I think all science points to Bayley and her being back in the title scene again.
So your 2 predictions are Asuka and Bayley. You have the third one?
Well, Asuka wasn't really a prediction of mine. Like I said, Bayley was kind of my one. But then once the rumors started getting louder and louder about Ronda returning, the more I leaned to, yeah, that makes sense. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was Ronda. But I want Bayley.
I want Bayley too. That's what I want to see. Actually, for a Sasha match, the match that I want to see Sasha have at WrestleMania is Sasha versus Stratus. That's the match that I want to see happen. Yeah. Number one, it's a dream match that they've both been talking about for a while now. I know Sasha's wanted it for a while because I've seen her say it on a lot of podcasts. But if you think about it, they've never had a big women's match at WrestleMania that didn't involve the championship. You know what I mean? So it's like this will be one that was big. It's the past versus the present, and it would be a big win. It would still, for me, be a big win for Sasha. For somebody like Trish to put her over at WrestleMania, that would be a big win for Sasha. She get her moment, and on top of that, it would be Sasha's dream match too. So that's something that I want to see happen. But like I said, the scenarios are out there. Honestly, the 3 picks that I picked, Ronda, Bayley, and Bianca, I could see any of those winning. Any of those 3, I really could see winning. Yeah. If none of those 3 win, then I'd be really surprised.
I really see Bianca or Ronda for sure. Those are
I wouldn't be mad at Bianca Belair getting a repeat win back to back. Wouldn't be mad at it. Certainly, I think it's a great opportunity for her, and if they offer that to her, she should take it. But at the same time, I don't think it really makes sense given all the other possibilities that I think would make more sense.
The only thing I said, if I miss Sasha, if Sasha was still here, I would want her to win, and that's that.
Yeah.
Other than that,
what about some surprises? Who are some people that you think are going to show up that be surprised? That make sure.
I think, a personal opinion, I might be off about this, but I think they're giving us enough surprises. You're getting Michelle, Kelly, Danielle, the Bellas, Alita. They kind of exposed all those. Outside of returns like Asuka and Paige and maybe Lacey Evans coming back and stuff like that.
I forgot about Lacey Evans.
I think what they really should be doing, and I personally, I don't mean to burst because Bubble would be that guy, but personally, I don't think Bayley's even going to be ready before Rumble unless she's put some Super Cena rehab, because she wasn't expected to be back until after WrestleMania with her injury, that tearing or whatever she tore. But I do see Lacey coming back. I do see Asuka coming back. I do see the surprise of maybe Paige. But I think, since they've already given us and announced so many people that are coming there, like Mickey, Summer, Kelly, the Bellas, Michelle, whatever, maybe throw some of these NXT girls in there. Put some spot. Maybe have all 3 members of Toxic Attraction into this thing and try to
I
work.
could
together.
definitely see that
You
happening.
know what I mean? Maybe get Dakota or Raquel to come up here. Like
Raquel, I definitely think is going to be in the
yeah, like
Rumble.
you had enough. You've already given us the legends, and you've already actually like just didn't keep them as a surprise, and that was their decision.
I think it could be a story though. I think they could have announced some people, maybe to say like a big one for Ronda. Maybe like Ronda could be the big
No,
one.
that's gonna be like a Ronda, Paige, cool.
Paige is somebody that I could see. Paige,
The returns like Oscar and Lacey for sure. But like if you're gonna bring anyone else back, the only other one that I think someone joked around and said once again, what if Trish came out to help Lita? Like, okay, sure, that's
another one too. Is I think is even though they kind of put her back on TV, but Alexa Bliss I think will be in the Rumble as well.
They haven't, yeah, for sure. Because we got to remember, like I think there's only like 9 spots left. So if you have like 9 spots left, you have like Oscar potentially.
Well, they've announced 21. So you have if Oscar shows up, that's a spot. Then Ronda, so that's 23 right there.
Most likely coming back.
Lacey Evans. I'm gonna throw Bailey in there. I think Bailey will be in there, so I'm throwing Bailey in there for me. And then you got NXT like Raquel Gonzalez, or maybe like Kaylee Ray, or Io
Shirai, Toxic Attraction,
Cora Jade. So
Cora Jade, they're high on Cora Jade. I would put her in.
One thing that I think is also a possibility here, because they did it last year with the Men's Rumble with Damian Priest, an NXT call-up that leads to a main roster spot. And I think, Blake said her name, I think Io Shirai could be potentially the entrant, and then she gets a main roster contract. Because
I think Raquel's coming up too, to be honest with you. I think Raquel's done now.
True, yeah. I can see that too. I really want Io on them. I know, nobody should want NXT call-ups on the main roster because of the history that can happen with them, but like I feel like Io Shirai is genuinely deserving of a main event spot. Raquel too, but I like Io more personally.
Io is somebody that I think is ready to come up too. Hopefully they do something with her. Raquel, somebody that I think is done with NXT too. I mean, she's already been an NXT champion. Excuse me, like what more can she do down there? Plus, they could use women on the roster too right now in the main roster. So,
oh boy, couldn't they?
So I would say.
That being said, like there are a bunch of guys that they low key are like secretly pulling off the NXT roster, like Ciampa, like Pete Dunne, like Roderick Strong, like someone else that was working dark matches. I forget who it was, but like those guys could also be in the men's one. When you think about it, because they seem to be like weaning them off of 2.0.
I can see somebody like for the men's. I think Ron Breaker, somebody that I can see in the Rumble, maybe like Pete Dunne as well, or Ciampa, somebody that I could see making an appearance in the Rumble. I could see that happening. What are your predictions as far as what do you think was going to open the show and close the show? What are you seeing so far that right now? Go ahead, Smith.
Okay. So I think that the men's Royal Rumble is going to main event just because the only time it didn't, ever since there were 2 Rumbles was literally the first time they had the women's match. So I think that's just a precedent that's in place now, so I think the men's Rumble match will main event. I think the women's one is going to be either second or third on the card. And I think they're going to open with Roman and Seth.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think you're going to open with a championship match, then the women's Rumble. Then you're going to get the second championship match, the men's one. Then maybe Becky and Duda for like some like killer time. And then the men's Rumble, because I do think the 2 championship matches are going to the men's championship matches are really going to play a part into that men's Rumble. Because like we said, maybe Lashley's coming back to them. Maybe Brock's coming back to them. Maybe Roman's coming back to them.
Yeah, this is going to sound disrespectful, and I don't mean it to be, but like Becky Lynch versus Doudrop, like if there was going to be a match that was the piss break match, that would be the one.
Yeah, like that's going to be the match. It's going to be right before the last Rumbles.
And that's not a disrespect to Becky Lynch or Doudrop. Both great.
Go get beer, go buy some merch, or go to the washroom. That's going to be the match.
And like I said, I don't mean that as any kind of disrespect to Becky Lynch or Doudrop. They're both great, and I'm sure the match is going to be great. It's just that's the one that, given everything else that's happening, people are going to care about the least.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Good question right here. Who do you think will be the Iron Man and Iron Woman for the men's and women? So for the Iron Man, I think he's going to be Austin Theory for the men's.
I agree.
For the women,
I agree.
Honestly, for the women, I could see somebody like Liv Morgan being the Iron Woman. I just don't think she's going to win. I could see her maybe like, having her maybe like number 1, go out there and she'll put on a good performance. But I just don't see her winning. So I'll say Liv Morgan and Austin Theory.
Year 1 they did Sasha. Year 2 I think they did Bianca.
Natalia
was
year 2. It was Natty year 2.
Natty was year 2. Bianca was year 3.
4, like for 2 years in a row, which is kind of impressive.
Natty was year 2, and then Bianca was the last 2. Bianca was
Bianca was year 3. Yeah, year 3 she was that, and year 3 she Iron Woman and won.
Yeah.
Maybe she does it again this year. I mean, she could.
Jokingly though, Johnny Knoxville is going to be the Iron Man. I'm joking. He might be hiding under the ring or something. I don't know, but I think he's going to be in there. For
oh my God, Johnny Knoxville would pull some Hornswoggle shit and hide forever.
Yeah. But until Sammy came out or something. But
yeah.
No, for the women's it's tough. But I do think the Austin Theory is a great one. I think this is like they're really high on Austin Theory, and
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be like him.
Yeah.
Maybe remember Vince was like, even on Raw on Austin Theory, like, is there any way I can get like number 29 and number 30? And Vince is like, no. Like I feel like it's almost like Vince is like, you're gonna go out number 1. And like Austin Theory,
he'll be like, I think he'll be like number 5 or something.
Like he's gonna be in the top 10.
Yeah.
And for the women, I really don't know for the women. It's someone that they want to build, someone that want to build, or someone they want to highlight. Like Aaliyah, I don't know. Liv, I don't know. Somebody that's just kind of like on the brink of something.
Yeah. For the men's rumble, I am definitely really high on the Austin Theory, pun intended. And for the women's one, while I do definitely see a case for Liv Morgan Iron Manning but not winning, I definitely don't think she's winning. I have a little bit of an oddball for somebody who could potentially Iron Woman because of how prominently they've been featured, like on segments recently, like on SmackDown and stuff. And that's Lita. I know she's old, like older, but she's shown, like when they had, what was that pay-per-view? Evolution, the all-women's pay-per-view. She can work. Like she's still good at what she does to a degree, like puts on passable matches. Hell, we even saw it again when they had the Raw after, when she was in a tag team match and did. So I still think that Lita has it in her to Iron Woman, not win, because I don't think she should win either, but set up a match for Mania between Lita and somebody. Maybe the woman that ends up throwing her out. And it could be an opportunity for, Lita to put over somebody on a grand stage.
Another good woman is somebody said Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley could be.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley. I read that.
I would definitely be okay with that. That would.
And they made Rhea look really strong going into this past Raw. Like she won that 6-man tag. Like, that's a 6-woman tag. That made,
sometimes that's the tell.
I mean, she was one of my picks last year. Rhea Ripley was one of my picks.
The go home show really just showcased Rhea and Bianca as well. You know what I mean?
What about your final 4 for the men's and women's? So you see in the final 4?
I see Austin Theory. I just see him in the final 4. And then I honestly think Bobby's coming back in there. I don't know at what point, but Bobby's coming back in there to lose.
Bobby.
And then Big E, because he was just a champion. They probably want to make him like, hey, he was just a champion. And like, Owens? I don't know. That's all wrong, though. Was Drew McIntyre coming in here? Is he back? I
thought he was still hurt, and he's going to be
he hasn't been on TV since day 1. So
because Drew was someone initially, if Brock and Roman happened at day 1, I almost thought we were just going to get Roman and Drew wrestling. Like that was my mind.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I mean, it still could happen from what I've heard. The last thing I heard is that Drew hasn't had surgery or anything, but he's been having neck issues, but they don't know like how serious his injury is. It could be like some nagging issue. He may need time off, like something nagging that just trying to rest. So I mean, he could pop up in the Rumble for all we know. Like he could pop up as
Fury, Lashley, AJ Styles, and I said one other person before. Big E. Those are probably 4.
All right, my final 4 for the men's, I'd go Big E, Kevin Owens, Austin Theory, and Seth Rollins.
So you think Seth Rollins will be in the Rumble?
I do. I think he'll lose to Roman, and then I think he'll pop up in the Rumble like we've seen many challengers for the world title do in the past.
I think my final could possibly be Austin Theory, another one that maybe a stretch. Braun Breaker, I could see being in the finals for the final 4. And then either Brock or Roman, one of those two. I still think one of those two could be in the Rumble. AJ Styles, I think, will be in the final 4 as well. And then maybe sometimes they always have legends in the final 4 too. I mean, so maybe it could be like if fucking Goldberg shows up, he could be in the final 4, probably. You know what I mean? So because usually the past couple of years they've had legends or somebody in the finals. You know what I mean? To kind of make it give that aura. So I could see something like that happening. But I don't know. I'm curious to see. I'm very curious to see. I feel like I said, after the Roman and Brock match, the ideas of the men's Rumble will be more open because it's like with that match, not knowing what could happen, there's so many scenarios that you think could happen in the men's Rumble. You know what I mean? So after we see that match, it's kind of like, maybe it opens the thought process more of what we think could see happening. Who are some people that if they show up, you would be shocked? Like you would just be like shocked if they actually showed up. Like somebody you don't think will happen, but like if they did show up, like you would be stunned.
MJF.
Yeah,
That would be wild.
I would say one of mine too is the Fiend. Honestly, I would be shocked.
Well, if the Fiend came back, that would be like, all
if
right.
he showed up, Mine would be either somebody from anybody from AEW. It doesn't matter if they even been in WWE.
I would
Anybody
actually.
from AEW or
I think Cody's someone that could show up, and I think that would be real shocking.
Anybody from AEW would shock me. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be somebody who's had history with WWE, or mine would be probably the Fiend. If the Fiend popped up, I was
thinking about the Fiend earlier too, and I was like, I don't think what happened. That would be shocking.
That would be something that would be like, oh shit, like that would be very surprising to me.
I don't know if there's anyone else. It's like it would be crazy if like they just happened. Like I don't think it would happen, but if they did, like there's a forbidden door, and we see AEW's like if they did, like I don't know if they would, but they've done it in the past in like the mid '90s.
So if
say like a Switchblade or like an Okada,
if you had three people,
using all over the place.
If you had three people that you want to see show up from AEW to the Rumble, who are the three people that you would want to see?
You mean like dream picks?
Yeah, like if you could pick any three people, like
okay,
not actually, but just who I think would be cool in there.
It could be like
I actually think Jericho and Danielson could show up. If those dream picks, it'd be like CM Punk. I just think that would be a hell of a fucking.
My three dream picks. I don't care if they're outlandish. I don't care if they're not happening. But my three dream picks would be MJF, the National Treasure Nick Aldis, and Switchblade Jay White.
That would
CM Punk, MJF, and the Fiend. I think those are three great people that would show up. That'd be epic.
Okay,
and if Punk just came, like, listen, Punk never wants to work for that company ever again. But if he wants to make a moment, if you just want to make a moment, be like, you know what, whatever, because he seems like he's just having fun. And you're like, I'll go there for one night, because he did the backstage thing.
What about somebody? I know some people. I know this is another stretch too, but like,
if the bag's big enough, Punk will do it.
What if somebody like AJ Lee showed up? What if she popped up in the women's rumble? Like, how crazy would that be?
That'd be cool.
That would be crazy. It would be cool, but. Who the hell knows?
That would be if she showed up. That would be for me. If I had to pick three, CM Punk would definitely be one of them.
Okay.
Kenny Omega would be my other one, and then my other one would be Okada. Those would be
okay.
Those would be the ones that I mean, the Fiend would be another one too that would go crazy. Those three that I said won't happen, but those are the ones I'm like, man, that would be crazy if that happened. So
yeah.
Especially CM Punk. Like, imagine if Punk came back and actually won and fought Roman at WrestleMania. Like,
I don't think he'd ever win, but like him being there would just be hilarious. It'd just be like,
just imagine
it would even be better. And I know WWE wouldn't do it because why would they help AEW this much? This was like
no. I mean, but like, just imagine
like crazy full fantasy, like way out there. If CM Punk's music hit, and then MJF walked out.
Imagine
oh my god! I want it.
The attraction
it won't happen, but I want it.
Like it's never gonna happen. But could you imagine?
Oh god!
Imagine the attraction though. Like, say, I mean, it won't happen. Say if CM Punk came out and he won, and then we got Punk and Roman at WrestleMania, because like they kind of been throwing shots at each other. Like, Roman's like on the needle moving thing. The T-shirt right now, like needle moving. Like CM Punk never moved the needle type thing. So it's like. That would be like so box office. It'd be crazy. Like that would be like so insane. Like that would be money right there. That would be like WrestleMania worthy. Like that would be insane. So somebody said Jeff Hardy too. Jeff Hardy could be somebody that would be cool. Show up in the Rumble. Yeah. I could see something like that. From what I heard, the original plan was to have Roman and Jeff at the Rumble. That was the original Universal Championship match.
Well, once again, we also thought that we didn't know that Brock was going to win the WWE title. Big E could have stood the champion. So a lot of the original plans got thrown out the window.
So do you guys have predictions for who you think are going to be like the Final Four in the Women's Rumble? Because I have mine. I think that for the Women's Rumble, the Final Four will be Bayley, because I think she's winning, Asuka, Liv Morgan, and the last one I think will either be Lita or Charlotte Flair.
I think Bianca, Rhea, for sure. I don't know about the rest. If Ronda's in there, then sure, Ronda.
I would probably say Bianca, Charlotte, Ronda, Bianca, Charlotte, Ronda, and I think Bayley would be.
I'm gonna say Bianca, Rhea, Asuka, and Paige.
Okay.
I
think would be mine. Charlotte, I think will be in there. If Charlotte's gonna be somebody who comes out late, and I think she'll be in there. They'll keep her in there, and just for the fact that she's Charlotte, and she'll kind of have that Roman Reigns factor. The last couple of years, Roman was in the match; he was always in the end. You were kind of like, oh man, like don't let Roman win. You know what I mean? Like don't let it be Roman.
Yeah.
So I think Charlotte has that factor, so I think she'll be in there throughout that time where she may be even in the final three where it comes down to Charlotte and whoever. You'd be like, oh man, like Charlotte,
I think Charlotte is literally going to become the next female Roman in the way that like how Roman is always in every single Final Four, every Rumble match he's in, that's Charlotte now.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that too. So I mean, that's something that I could see happening for that time frame. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the Rumble. I'm interested to see what happens. We know SmackDown's coming up to Friday, so something will happen between Roman and Seth on SmackDown before their final match and everything, their final showdown. But that's something that I could see happening. Who's somebody that you predicted? Is there somebody that you want to see win? Like maybe there's somebody that you don't think will win, but like, man, I would love to see that person win.
Walter, or I'm sorry, Gunther. I'm still calling him Walter.
Gunther was a good one. For the women's, mine would be Rhea Ripley. I'm a big Rhea Ripley fan, so Rhea Ripley would be somebody for me that I would love to see.
I don't know about the women's. I don't count. Like there's no one that's really like if they don't win, I'm gonna be disappointed. Once again, the only person that like is Sasha. Like that's not there. That's not announced. Is the only person that like if she could just magically limp her way to the ring, be number like 30 or 29, where she doesn't have to do much, and then somehow still manage to win. Like I'm gay. And on the men's side, like if they really want to throw a curveball, if they really want to build a new star that's gonna, face like help Raw out because Raw needs some stars. Maybe a Pete Dunne, maybe a Ciampa actually just wins it. And we're like, oh, holy crap, we got a new star in our hands. You know what I mean? Like that's it.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah,
if I was gonna pick somebody for the men's, it would either be AJ Styles or Finn Balor. Those are two people.
Finn was on my head right now, but I was like, I don't know what to do.
He's somebody that I want to see win. I know he's not, but he's somebody that I would be like. I would love to see.
Someone I just want to see successful in some sense.
Yeah.
He's somebody that I would like to see win, but they're not really high on Finn Balor. You know what I mean? So it's like it sucks. And
Yeah.
He hasn't even been announced for the Rumble. So like, what if he's not even in it? You know what I mean? Like they haven't even announced that he'll be in the match. So like,
when was the last time we saw him when he fought Austin Theory?
It was last week. Yeah, last week he wasn't on Raw this week. So it's like he's pretty much in the same position that he was in before he went back to NXT. So it's like it's shitty.
Yeah.
It's like they really don't see nothing in this guy.
I just keep seeing the AJ Styles stuff in the comments, and I'm with it. Like I understand if AJ wins, that'll be so cool. I just don't feel like he's done anything in the past like year that warrants like AJ Styles is gonna win this Royal Rumble. They just never painted that picture.
I think that would make it better though. Like it's somebody that would be a curveball. Like AJ
right. Just like
AJ back in that spot.
AJ's one of my favorites. If he does, like dope. Like I've been saying that. Like I love what Riddle's doing with Van Jordan and the homeless AJ stuff was cool.
I mean, you could say that. I mean, I know it's kind of different scenarios, but you could say the same thing about Roman in 2015. Like when Roman went up against Brock at that WrestleMania, to me, like Roman wasn't on that WrestleMania main event level yet. Like he wasn't there. Like I didn't feel like he was
main event level. He was obviously main event level. I just mean like they tried building Roman before that Rumble. They gave that guy the superstar of the year, even though he was injured for that whole. Like he had one match outside of the Shield against Orton, then got injured, and they gave him superstar of the year. Like they were like already like, we're gonna make Roman Reigns a star. Like they were on that path.
Yeah.
Like there's no path for AJ right now.
I think Dominic eliminates Ray. I could see Dominic.
He's established, so he's established enough that he could just win. It would be a big deal. That's what I'm saying. Because I've been waiting for him and Orton to be free from their tag teams because I feel like they're the star power. Because everyone's like, there's no star power in Raw, but it's like no, AJ and Orton are there. They're just tied up in the tag team.
How many people you think? How many people you think Omos are gonna throw out?
5.
Better question: how many people is it going to take to throw at Omos?
Probably everybody else. Whatever the number of people is in the ring at that time, that number of people.
You know what would be the most underwhelming? You want to know what would be the most underwhelming surprise?
What?
And I might sound like a hater. Is if Braun Strowman comes out. I'm like,
Yeah.
I really like Braun Strowman too.
I like him. I don't know if I care about him.
I really like Braun Strowman. I think what I'd like to see happen, which is a possibility, I think Omos is going to eliminate Johnny Knoxville, and I think he's going to pick him up over his head and throw him out of the ring onto the table, and the table explodes. Because Johnny Knoxville is crazy, and I feel like he obviously he's in this Rumble to promote his movie, but I feel like he's gonna do something of a crazy bump because that's what he does. He does
he's literally a professional bump taker and not in the safe way.
So
he's gonna do something crazy.
If Omos picks him up and throws him out of the ring onto the table, that would be insane.
He's gonna launch Johnny Knoxville all the way to the stage, or die trying.
That would be pretty cool to see. So, I could see something like that. I think Omos eliminates about, I'm gonna say 7 or 8 people. He'll throw out.
I could see him being the guy that throws out I could see him throwing out Dominic. I could also see him throwing out Ray. I could see him being the guy that throws out maybe
Street Profits.
Yeah, Street Profits.
Riddle,
Although, I don't know. One problem I've also noticed too is that like they always release like the list of like 20 something people, you know, still with like that number of spots left. And then time and time again, I've noticed that like the people that they say are not always the people that make it. Like there's like in the past, I've always noticed there's tag teams that get advertised for being in it, and then they're not. Like I think in 2020, they advertised Heavy Machinery. Neither member of Heavy Machinery ended up going in.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like they've advertised certain people some years, but like then they just weren't in the match. So it's like,
so I wouldn't be surprised if like last minute, like, you know, Street Profits end up not making it. And I also wouldn't be surprised if like Chad Gable or Robert Roode didn't like fucking make it either, because Chad Gable's never been in a Rumble that wasn't the greatest Rumble, and Robert was in it one time when he was one of the guys getting trucked out by Brock.
Yeah, so I feel like they couldn't make that last minute change. You know, WWE always consistently changes too. You know, I mean, they're always changing up something. You know, they're changing up something all the time. So
true.
You guys got any final thoughts, final predictions of what you guys think is gonna happen?
I think I've said everything I want to say.
I do think it's really unpredictable. It's gonna be enjoyable watch because
this some AB like the most unpredictable Rumble we've had in a long time, honestly. Like,
we really have,
at least in a while.
The last one for me, I think it was 2017. I didn't know who was going to win that match. I definitely didn't think it was going to be Randy Orton. Randy Orton was somebody that I did not think was going to win. So
I was so happy when he did. They did the smartest way too, having Roman be in there and having that.
Yeah, I think 2017 was the last one where I didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't know who was going
to. Well,
I
felt that way last year. Like I said, I felt that way last year up until Edge cut that promo on the Raw the week of. I'm like, oh, Edge is winning. I was like, the cat's out of the bag. Edge is winning. He wouldn't just come back the week of.
Yeah.
Edge was my pick last year for the men's. My Rhea Ripley and Bianca were two picks.
Bianca was just given to me because I wanted Bianca and Sasha. So
yeah. So,
and I think we should like once again. If best case scenario, I would want Sasha and Charlotte and Bianca. Like, those are the two women's matches.
I mean, maybe if Sasha's able to, I doubt it, but maybe she does pop up. Who knows? I mean, sometimes people come back from injuries when way unexpected. You know what I mean? So
hopefully it was just a twisted ankle and it wasn't that bad.
So hopefully we get it there. But I'll take a couple questions from you guys before we get off here. A couple questions, and then we'll go ahead and sign off here. What about the number 30th prediction? So number 30 for the women's, if Ronda comes back, Ronda would definitely be number 30. She'll be there.
We've had some lackluster 30s, but I'd rather it be a surprise than someone that just happened. I hate when it's like 29, you're like, oh wait, that guy still has to come.
Yeah. I think Ronda for the women's could be a possibility. For the men's, it would somebody be either like I still think Roman or Brock is still what I'm thinking. Like I still one of those two.
Paige or Sasha, I'd pop for. And
that would be crazy. Paige and Sasha would be amazing.
One of those two. One of those two come out up there. Because if Sasha comes out at 30, there's a little bit of time for them. Barely doing work.
Yeah.
If Paige comes out at 30, I think people get the hopes up, and when it doesn't happen, they're like, oh, she's probably not coming.
Good question right here. What are the odds of Cena coming back?
0. I think it's 0.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't come back for a very long time.
I thought that I hope he doesn't. Just that I see no logical point to it, like logistically or for story reasons. I don't want it.
I would say, I mean, you never know in wrestling. You never say never.
You know what?
I don't know the guy's schedule.
So the one thing we were talking about briefly, the one thing that they kind of teased that I would be okay with at WrestleMania would be kind of a big deal is if they somehow circled back to it being Cena and Finn.
I mean, that could be interesting. I want to see Cena and Edge at WrestleMania. That's something I want to see.
I'm not against Cena and Finn.
But you never know in wrestling. I don't know. I mean, you never really know. I mean, people could come back and you not know. So I don't know the guy's schedule. I don't know how busy he is. I'm sure he's busy all the time, but you never know, man. I mean, you never know. Cena could pop up. He may not pop up. Who knows? Something may happen, may not happen. Someone said Sasha 30. Sasha could be 30.
Sasha could be 30 and still have enough time to eliminate Charlotte and get eliminated.
I can see AJ eliminating Omos. I don't know if AJ throws out Omos. I don't know about that. AJ eliminating Omos. I don't know.
No, I think it would be the other way around if that does happen.
This is something that I'd like to see win the Rumble here too. Naomi, I'd be fine with Naomi.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Naomi. Naomi's with the whole underdog. And there's a couple. I was just thinking that too. Like we never really thought about Shayna. We never really thought about.
Yeah. You know why we don't think about people like Naomi and Shayna Baszler and Shotzi? Because they're such sleeper picks. Like these are not people that Vince has any kind of faith in to be the next Charlotte, the next Becky, the next Sasha, the next Bailey. Like these are not people, like, even though they're great, and even though they had, like, you know, some of the great NXT careers, these are not the people that are Vince gals. These are not Vince's main roster, like, ideals.
Yeah.
Any release superstars you think are going to come back? Any release superstars?
Oh, yeah, I think we, like, you know, Zack Ryder, we said.
I don't see it.
They released so many people too, man. It's
Maybe
like so
Braun Strowman.
I legitimately do not see anybody who was, like, released from the company within the past, like, year or two coming back for, like, the Rumble. The only one being Mickie James, because they literally confirmed it.
Yeah, I don't think any. Maybe the only person I would say that I could see either be Jeff Hardy or the Fiend.
Eric Rowan, someone random like that. I don't know.
Rowan, somebody random, just out of the blue. You know, just like a random person that, you know. Somebody said hoping to see Elias. I don't know where he been.
Another crazy one would be, and they wouldn't do it. It'd be cool to see Sting.
Sting would be pretty wild. Elias, well, he had those little vignettes on Raw months ago, and he ain't been seen since. So I don't know what happened with Elias.
Rick Boogs took his spot as the guitar guy.
Yeah. So nobody knows what's going on with
we're gonna have some like lame entrants in the men's rumble, like Madcap Moss and shit.
I mean, yeah, wasn't Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin already confirmed?
Oh no, I think if it was just one of them, cool, but both of them, what a waste.
Yeah, both of them are confirmed. I think.
What a waste.
Ziggler and Rude have been confirmed. Let me look real quick. I'll look and see who's confirmed real quick.
Dolph Ziggler's definitely going to be in it because he's in every.
He's in every year. Yeah, he's in every year.
There was a couple where he entered number 30, and I'm like, what a letdown.
Yeah. All right, so for the men's, who's been announced so far: Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Austin Theory, Johnny Knoxville, Sheamus, Damian Priest, AJ Styles, Big E, Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, Sami Zayn, Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens, Omos, Randy Orton, Matt Riddle, Chad Gable, Otis, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode. And then for the women's is Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH, Dana Brooke, Carmella, Queen Zelina Vega, Tamina, Shotzi, Natalia, Aaliyah, Naomi, Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, Lita, Michelle McCool, Kelly, Summer Rae, Mickie James, Bianca Belair, and Liv Morgan. So there are 21 people they announced for the women's, and then there are 22 for the men's. We have 8 spots for the men and 9 for the women.
Yeah, Randy and Riddle aren't in it?
Randy Riddle, and yeah, they're in it. I said their names, Randy and Riddle. So
I could see Doudrop, like, you know, because she's definitely losing that match, entering the Rumble.
Doudrop, yeah, maybe Doudrop, okay. I mean, Doudrop is somebody that I wouldn't put that against.
I don't think she's going to be there, but
that we haven't talked about. I could see happening is Nia Jax. I wouldn't put it past that to happen.
I don't want it.
I can see it happening.
The whole mental health shit she came out with. I don't know if they just call it a comeback. They fired me when I was on a mental health break.
I think she's somebody though. Like, if the company talked to her, like, I think she would work out whatever differences they had, or anything like that. Whatever differences they had going on. So,
I mean, Seth dropped Moxley's name. I know Moxley said he did.
Yeah, I mean, Moxley would be crazy because his name's being dropped quite often between Seth and Roman. So it's like people are obviously the people want it, but they're you know, kind of like the maybe up
Cody,
there. So.
Moxley, Jericho, Punk, even though it's not going to happen. Brian, guys that have been through that WWE system with only AEW guys. Oh, I know who that is. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So I'll let you guys plug in your social media stuff again. We'll go ahead and sign off. Make sure you guys are following all the social medias. Check them out. And make sure you guys tune to the word Rumble. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. You know, we're all curious and excited to see what goes down because I think, like I said, this is the first Rumble for a long time that is very up in the air for a lot of scenarios and a lot of things. So that's what makes it more exciting. So
I would just definitely follow me on Instagram, The Wrestling Classic. Click the link in my bio. All the other links are there. I write articles from 1:37 p.m. We got the interviews and stuff on YouTube. I got the podcast, TWC Show. You can subscribe to anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, whatever. Like, it's there. Also on Ruckus Avenue Radio every week on Dash Radio. But I guess now mainly, like, I don't really use Twitter, but I use Twitter to promote stuff and like stuff and just see how people react and use and stuff. So you can follow me on Twitter, which is TWC Worldwide. But I think I'm like trying to grow my TikTok. It just organically started growing, so now I'm just gonna post on there and see what happens. So like you can follow me on TikTok, which is also The Wrestling Classic. Since I'm sure most of the people watching this are fans of these two tremendous TikTokers above me, come follow me too. It's The Wrestling Classic.
Yeah. All right, I already said I'm Smithception on just about everything. I have some YouTube uploads, but I'm primarily on TikTok, where I talk about, if you want to hear like wrestling and even some video game type stuff, I share my opinions about those things on that. And right now, I'm in the middle of doing a greatest of all time tournament, but it's polls voted on by you. So I'm currently in the second round of that. So if you want to get your say in on who you think is the greatest wrestler of all time based on the polls I'm putting out, keep up with me, and also keep up with, shout out to Jay Knows Wrestling on TikTok, because I'm working with him. Like, he's giving his commentary on that as I'm putting out the polls. So if that interests you, check us out and go vote.
Oh, and really quickly, guys, join the Discord. I started a Discord server. The link is in my bio. It's a cool community. We have like 800 people in there, but we're always just talking about wrestling. We're always talking during Raw, SmackDown. Honestly, they're probably talking this whole time during NXT 2.0. Like, the conversation's always going. We talk about news. And we're also, if you're into that whole crypto NFT world, like, you're going to want to be in there because this stuff dropping very soon.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of things you guys should go check out and see. Like I said, make sure you guys follow all these guys on social media platforms. Appreciate you guys for joining. Appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you guys give them a follow. Show them some support and show them some love. And we got some pretty good predictions. We'll see what happens, though, man. I'm like I said, usually around this time, WWE kind of gets a little bit exciting just because it's WrestleMania time, so they kind of try to do a lot of things to keep fans invested. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see what happens. The Royal Rumble is my favorite pay-per-view of the year too. So
Me too.
I've always enjoyed the Royal Rumble. So appreciate you guys. Give you guys a follow. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for joining. Appreciate everybody for interacting in the comments to us. I see I didn't get to everybody's comment, but you guys were in here giving your opinions and thoughts. So appreciate you guys for watching and tuning in. Until next time, you guys be safe.